In a striking statement that could reshape the landscape of international trade, President Donald Trump recently indicated that the United States might need to reconsider its trade agreements with key partners such as the European Union, Japan, and South Korea. This potential shift comes in light of a Supreme Court case concerning tariffs, which Trump warns could lead to significant economic repercussions for the nation. He expressed that a ruling against the U.S. in this case would result in the country experiencing great suffering. During a press briefing at the White House, Trump elaborated on his administration's plans to appeal a recent decision by a U.S. appeals court that deemed many of his tariffs illegal. Despite this setback, he remains optimistic about the outcome, asserting that he believes the Supreme Court will rule in favor of his administration. "We struck a deal with the European Union, where they are contributing nearly $1 trillion to our economy. And, you know what? They are satisfied with the arrangement. It's all settled. If we lose this case, we might have to unwind those agreements," Trump stated, highlighting the precarious nature of these trade relationships. This was the first time Trump explicitly suggested that the trade agreements, which were negotiated independently of the tariffs, could be jeopardized if the Supreme Court upholds the appeals court's ruling. He emphasized that reversing the tariffs would come at a high cost. Although experts in trade point out that the financial burden of tariffs typically falls on U.S. importers rather than the exporting countries. Economists have raised alarms that the continuation of tariffs could exacerbate inflation within the United States, further complicating the economic landscape. Trump remarked, "Our nation has the potential to become incredibly wealthy again, but it could also plunge into poverty. If we do not win this case, the consequences for our country will be dire. Very dire." The appeals court's ruling specifically addressed the legality of tariffs that Trump labeled as reciprocal, which were initially imposed during a trade conflict in April, along with additional tariffs placed on imports from China, Canada, and Mexico in February. Notably, this ruling does not affect tariffs imposed under different legal frameworks, such as those on steel and aluminum. As Trump met with Polish President Karol Nawrocki in the Oval Office, his comments about the potential unwinding of trade deals were interpreted by trade analysts as a strategic move to exert pressure on the Supreme Court. Ryan Majerus, a former senior trade official now with King Spalding Law Firm, noted that the agreements with the EU and other partners were always intended to be flexible frameworks rather than rigid contracts. The president's remarks today seem aimed at maximizing leverage for the U.S. side, he explained. Legal experts suggest that the Supreme Court, which has a 6-3 majority of justices appointed by Republican presidents, might slightly enhance Trump's chances of retaining at least some tariffs, despite the appeals court's ruling against them. However, predicting the court's decision remains challenging due to the unique nature of this case and past rulings. Senator Ron Wyden, the leading Democrat on the Senate Finance Committee, criticized Trump's statements, claiming they only added to the confusion surrounding the administration's stance on trade agreements. The Trump administration seems unable to provide a clear narrative about the viability of its trade deals if the tariffs are invalidated, he remarked. As this situation unfolds, it raises important questions about the future of U.S. trade policy and its implications for the economy. What do you think? Should the U.S. reconsider its trade agreements based on the outcome of this Supreme Court case? Or do you believe that maintaining these deals is crucial regardless of the tariffs? Share your thoughts in the comments.